There's
You
no
think
way
Jesse?
we're live. I don't believe it.
All right, great. All right, we should be good to go. All right, so you said you wanted to just do. We could just do some banter topics until
Sure.
Until other people showed up.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, window. Oh my Jesus Christ, that is definitely not what I wanted. Scale to window. Please, that way I can see both of my screens at the same time. Okay. Are you I guess I'll be the one doing it since I can just go back and forth and you're playing what'd you call it?
I'm playing Rat Garbage too.
Why are you playing Epic Mickey 2?
Plus, they ported it to the Garbage 64 yesterday.
This is good conversation. Do you
I'm
have
glad
any
you think so.
have any topics on here that we haven't covered yet? Because most of your topics are pretty short.
No.
Yeah, you've the. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I guess we'll start with what's the highest that's me. The highest that is me, that's Lawrence, that's Terrence, another Terrence, it's a third Terrence. That's Dave, who decided to like something. Grant in the YouTube channel, ugly visuals, I can't do that unless Grant's here. Alright, finally. Funny typing races. That sounds like it's going to be a great conversation. So, remember how, not a long while back per se, but you remember how we were talking about, like, words per minute typing tests that you can do and stuff?
Yeah.
The streamer that I watch semi-frequently at this point, he found a website where you can do typing races, and it's exactly what you think it is, where it's just, people are given, like, a randomized passage of text, like from books and poetry and stuff like that, and just whoever finishes typing it first wins, right? It also calculates, or it also keeps track of like how many errors you made and stuff like that, and saves it all to your profile. So according to this website at least, do you recall what the average typing speed for your average American is?
Like between 30 to 50, I think.
The website I said actually 70. So that might actually just be like the average from the website itself. But the website said that the average person in America was 70 words per minute, right? I should probably take a Pearl. So, and that was interesting in and of itself, right? So Northern Lion, when he did his first race, he was, going ham. He was feeling really good. And if I remember correctly, his very first run was 135 words per minute, which is considerably very good, right?
Yeah.
And as with anything that has like ranked whatever, right? The first few times that he did this, he was demolishing people. Like he was just winning first in a landslide, but then his rank started climbing so quickly that he started encountering people that could actually go toe to toe with him, and he was like, shoot, oh well, at least now it's a race. He then started getting into what I would affectionately call the big leagues, where he started going up against people that were like 180 to 200 words per minute, which sounds freaking insane to me. Like the idea of being able to type something that fast seems inhuman. But then, because needless to say, Northernline's like a big streamer or whatever, and a person popped up in chat and was like, I hope you'll forgive me for what I'm about to do to you. And it's like, oh, that doesn't sound great. And he goes into the race, the person connects to that race, and they go. And this individual had 365 words per minute. Wow. Needless to say, the assumption is that they were cheating. Turns out that is not the case. Turns out that they're actually a private court stenographer, and they own their own stenographer's keyboard, which is the one that only has like 13 keys, and hitting multiple keys at the same time is different letters. And so this person was just going just like typed out the whole thing in like breakneck speed, and Northernline was like, ah. I just thought it was so funny.
It's like fucking it's like an anime plot. There's probably been worse animes pitched than that.
Probably. It's like Lawrence's story of like how he was like all cocky because he thought he was like the best saxophone player in his school, and then like people like kept challenging him, and he kept beating them in competition or whatever, and then like a random person shows up and is like, oh, I'm not that good, and then they play and they demolish Lawrence, and he lost his first chair for like a day. I was like, ha. Fuck you, Lawrence. Having talent. You talented piece of shit, get the fuck out of here.
Your hubris has cost you everything.
And then I killed him.
And then you slaughtered him with your fucking pasta powers.
I did not slaughter him.
Slaughtered him like a pig, you did.
Yeah, you did. I did not do that. I
slaughtered
didn't.
him like a goddamn pig.
But yeah, so that was the funny typing races story, just because it's like, I didn't watch it live. I caught it on YouTube as like a separate video afterwards. And I was just like, at first it was just like, oh, this is like kind of neat, right? Because the race, at first the races were so low competition that he was like reading as he was typing. And there was like something like therapeutic about it almost. Like just the gentle sound of his keyboard with his sound just like kind of reading, or his voice just kind of reading. It was kind of nice. And then he gets to like the final like 10 minutes of the video, and he's like fucking sweating as he's trying to not get demolished by this person. And I was like, oh, that's so good.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. I think didn't I take I don't remember what the number would have been, but didn't I take a typing speed test and talk about it on stream?
I was gonna say, definitely not on stream. I don't think
I didn't do it on stream. I'm pretty sure I did it off stream, but then talked about it. Right.
I don't think you did.
No? Thought I did.
Because I remember a few times mentioning that my typing speed was about 100 words per minute, and then you being like, I wonder what mine is.
Maybe you just weren't there, because I definitely remember telling Saba. But that being said, I do talk to Saba outside of stream, whereas you and I don't really talk outside of stream.
That's fair.
So it's a lot harder to get confused with Saba in that case. Scoozy. Here we go. I survived with 3 health left. Do the rabbit. I do this. All right. Well, that was funny typing races. Oh, double artist credit in trouble. I guess this is one that would be semi-interesting. So you remember how Pokemon Snap obviously just recently came out? Actually, it must have not. Well, no, actually, I think it was still Pokemon Snap. But anyway, Nintendo. Wait, do you have a Switch? You don't have a Switch, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Nintendo did this thing or they do this thing constantly where they will, like when a new game is about to come out, they'll be like, oh, blah, 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 and they'll like put up artwork being like, hey, get excited for the new game. I learned that Nintendo did this for like a piece of artwork for Pokemon Snap, and it turned out to actually be fan art that they just straight up like used without like any proper, credit or whatever to the artist. And
Right.
when they were called out on it, like Nintendo of America's PR person was like, well, it was fan art of a Nintendo property, so technically they weren't even allowed to make that artwork in the first place. And I was
Really?
like, yeah, I can hear myself, by the way, through your mic. And I was like, yeah, I don't really, I mean, I'm not an artist, right? So I don't really know that situation, I guess. Like, I guess I'm a little bit more familiar with like the legality of the comment, but I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Pretty dumb.
I mean, I think we could all agree that it's pretty dumb. Oh, I lost. Damn it. I think we can all agree that it's pretty dumb, but it's just like, I don't know.
That PR guy is putting his money where I don't know if Nintendo's legal team wants to back.
Well, because it's like, I guess that's true, right? Because I, once again, not an artist, so I don't know, but is there legal protections for fan art?
Yes.
There is? What is it?
It's basically fair use. It's similar to like video stuff, where it's like you can take a product and make something based on it, but it's again stretched because it's not even the exact same thing. It's just a story, an ethereal story that you're basing off of. Whereas with like edited videos of clips and stuff on YouTube, or like dissertations or essays, it's transformative, but there's actual content in there. Like, it's in the same realm as far as I'm aware.
Because it's like, because like what you're talking about with like the like transformative mediums and stuff, right? Because you know, obviously that's like a big thing on YouTube, right? The idea of you just taking somebody else's video but then recording yourself reacting to it, is that really transformative or is that exploitative? You know, that's been an argument for like the past like 5 years or whatever, 6 years. Fan art's kind of different, right? Because it's based on something. It's based on copyrighted material most of the time, but it is an original thing. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. It's.
I guess I'm just thinking about it where it's just like if, not that they would ever do this because it would be way too much hassle, but it's just like I wonder if Nintendo would theoretically have the legal chops to do something like that, where it's like, hey, no more Pokemon fan art. Just fucking nuke their entire fan base. Just like, fuck you. Oh, that'd be terrible.
I mean, they have the lawyers, whereas artists generally can't afford lawyers.
Right, but there's also like 1.2 billion artists in the world that have made Pokemon fan art before. But I guess I'm just saying that like the numbers make it difficult. Just the sheer volume, because that was like you know, I kind of talked about this before, but that was a thing with Nintendo for a hot minute. I want to say it was for like a solid 2 months, 2 years ago. Tried to copyright claim every YouTube video that used Nintendo music, because Nintendo doesn't license their music to literally anybody. So if the Nintendo music was on there, they would just do it. And at first, you know, they succeeded. Like anything that had Nintendo music was taken down. But then the process has a natural counterbalance, which is appeals. Ooh, sorry. I thought I just lost for a second. So I was doing some math. Yeah, so anyway, so they have a natural counterbalance for this, which is appeals. And so like within a week of them activating this system, Nintendo was fucking drowning in appeals. And it's like you have to respond to every single one of them, because if somebody appeals and you decline to even respond to the appeal, they automatically get the video back. And so it's like Nintendo eventually just kind of gave up, I guess. They were just like, yeah, it's not worth dealing with this.
Fair enough.
I don't know. Just thinking about it in that way. I'll take a dog. But yeah, there you go. I don't know, because I'm thinking about it, because I obviously from like your particular case, most of the art that I am familiar with you having done is OCs, for the most part. Right?
Yeah.
And so like that's completely safe. Well, literally not for work, but you know what I mean, where it's like no one's going to come at you being like, your OC is actually mine. Well, actually, I guess they literally do that, but...
Listen, I know I paid you to draw this OC, but it's mine, and you can't do that.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, if you just decided to, which I know you've done, right? If you just decide to make a D&D character and just and just draw them, like, just because the character has a passing resemblance to whatever other character, that still makes it your character, you know?
Right.
Like I don't know. you could do like fan art, or not even fan art. You could do a D&D character who was loosely based on like David Bowie. They were like an elf with like a red lightning bolt across their face or something. And it's like, yeah, it looks similar, but it's not. So I'm just thinking of it if like if people are doing like Pokemon fan art, what if they just started calling the main character Osh instead of Ash? And it's like, no, he's similar. He's similar, but it's not the same. I think that'd be really funny.
Call him Smokey instead.
Instead of Ash, that's pretty good.
And then the fucking JoJo legal team comes in.
Smokey. Alright, well there you go. What's the next one? We're just kind of burning through these, obviously, but I guess it's fine. Artistic intent and that whole flipping thing. So this comes from, I was like binging like 2 or 3 episodes of Drawfee in a row because I like missed out on a few of them. So I was catching up, and there was this part where they had to like design, well, as you know, Drawfee does quite frequently. It's like, oh, it's a character, but it's based on blah blah blah, and I think it was based on like phobias or something like that. I don't quite remember. But there was like a part where they were drawing the character, and then one of the people kept flipping the canvas back and forth. So I want to start by saying, what the hell is that? Why did she keep flipping the canvas back and forth? Because it was starting to irritate me.
I mean, that's a common artist thing, is that it's basically a test to see if the drawing's lopsided and has symmetry, especially in like faces.
But if okay, and I guess this oh shit, 1 second, did I lose? I lost. Great, fantastic. I'm so bad at this game. So I guess my follow-up question is, does it really matter if it's lopsided? Wouldn't it only, like, if it looks good from that one angle in a still 2D image, isn't that fine, right? Because the only time that it would theoretically matter is if it was a 3D model or something.
I mean, that's the thing, is that like, if you spend 4 hours looking at a drawing and it's lopsided, then there's a chance you might not spot it, and like someone else will see it as if like you had flipped it, if they're using fresh eyes and are a different person. Oh,
okay. So it's more of a stopgap for the with fresh eyes thing that you just described.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a practice thing as opposed to like a rule. Okay. Because that was like my question, right? Was that in this particular Drawfee video? Hello, Saba, by the way. In this particular Drawfee video, they made this character and they kept flipping it, and they like were making adjustments and stuff like that. And because I didn't understand it, I suppose I thought they were doing more of a not really appeasement or anything like that, but like I thought that they had to conform to this thing of like, oh, well, you're supposed to flip it, and if it looks weird, you're supposed to change it, because it was just like, well, I don't know, maybe it's just because I like JoJo, but characters that are kind of like lopsided and weird is fine. To me, as a non-artist, I guess. As long as it makes sense from that particular angle, I guess. Fish tank, yeah. Saba said something. I personally would like to make sure the bodies I draw are anatomically correct, but lol, I barely draw, so I don't do that. I mean, fair. I mean, under almost all circumstances, I feel like you want, especially if it's like a human or an animal or something like that, like something based in the real world, you want it to be as anatomically correct as possible. But then also, you can kind of like fudge it, right? Like, we probably talked about it before, but Adrian, are you familiar with Baki?
Yes. It's that one fighting anime, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, you look at that, and it's weird. It's almost Picasso-esque in the sense that the guy who draws that is so familiar with human anatomy that he eventually got bored with it, and he was like, what if I just take human anatomy and then crank it up to fucking 11? And so everybody's just like ridiculous, but still like technically correct, I guess. Except for the people who have like shapes in their back muscles, but that's like a different thing entirely. don't know. I need a mouse. There we go. All right. Well, I guess in that case, I guess we're moving on to the next one. Oh, lucky. Boop, boop, boop. Our Hyper Shonen just anime soap operas. Saba and I got into an argument about that, so we'll save that for when she's actually here. Teenage crushes, that's something that I would like to talk about with Lawrence, I think, just because he was the one I was thinking of when I thought of this topic. Jesus Christ. What was that? You okay? Are you under attack?
There are so many children in my house right now.
So many children.
It's almost like we're fostering. Oh wait, we are.
Well, I mean, yeah. Alright. Oh, my chickadee hatched. Like a shiny pebble. Better stuff. Boop, boop, boop. Handwritten versus digi-written. How the way we write affects how we talk. So this is loosely based on a video essay that I was watching the other night. I say the other night, it was probably like 2 weeks ago, but it was quite interesting. It was just the idea of like, I mean, I don't know, perhaps it was different for you, Adrian, just because of your heritage or whatever, but like, for me, if I go back to my grandfather's father, so my great-grandfather, obviously, oh my god, there's so many children. He had a very particular way of speaking. When I say particular way of speaking, I mean that he spoke in very particular ways. Everything that he did, everything that he said was always very clearly enunciated, very even in tone. He made sure that the meaning of the words came across as perfectly as possible, and it was very monotone. Like, that's how he talked. And so in the video essay, they cover the idea that, yeah, that was like how a lot of people talk, needless to say. And that was largely attributed to the way that people wrote. Because the idea was that you wanted to make sure that what you wrote in letters and missives and newspapers and stuff like that was as clear and concise as possible, because you didn't want to waste ink or paper or anything like that. And I just thought that was interesting. So you fast forward to, you know, obviously the invention of the internet and smartphones and stuff like that. And I wonder if the ability to use like emojis and like a bunch of other nonsense leads to people being a lot looser with their language.
I mean, I can contribute that that's also a thing with artists.
How so?
Just the fact that, like, if you're using really expensive paint to practice, or you just use paint in general as your primary medium,
Fair.
you're going to be way more careful with it so you don't waste it. Because paint is expensive. Yeah. However, I will point out that I, on the other hand, did not use paint. I used shitty ballpoint pens, which are pretty cheap, so my style and the way that I draw is very scratchy, quick, and loose compared to a lot of other artists, which spend a lot of time carefully measuring out line strokes. And there are artists in between and further either direction, obviously, but I just thought that was interesting about how, like, I guess that applies to writing, too.
Yeah, because it was Saba actually touches upon this in chat really quick, because she says, this is making me think about how I write. She says you, I'm assuming she means me, versus her, how it translates to us talking, because it's very true. I don't think I shared it with you, Adrian, but are you familiar with the fact that I almost got scammed in a job application the other day?
No. This sounds hilarious. Tell it on stream, including your personal information you shared at the time.
Fantastic. Long story short, there's since the dawn of the pandemic, there's been a very egregious increase of like false job applications, essentially, obviously. And the whole dealio is that they trick you into like, they say that they're going to send you a check and that you have to go buy something from this particular website, and when you try to like cash the check or deposit it, it bounces, so you get left having to deal with it. I luckily was able to catch that it was a scam super early, but Dave and my dad even, they encountered these scams as well, and luckily because I encountered one first, they were able to save themselves, which is really good. So anyway, as part of that scam, to make it feel more authentic, I guess, they had me like complete a application that was like a test. It was just a hey, here's 15 questions, answer them as truthfully as possible. And it was like, okay, that's not that bad. And so I filled out the whole thing, and then I came to realize that it was a scam, yada yada. And then I shared that document that I wrote with like Grant and Lawrence and Saba and stuff like that. And Saba made the point of, man, this is really obvious that you wrote it because it sounds like because it reads the way you talk. Me. Which I thought was really interesting, because I've known this for a long time, but I didn't realize it would be so obvious to somebody else. But yeah. Sorry, Saba's been sending stuff. Oh, with art, like using light pencil and creating more ethereal looking art. That was clearly in reference to something earlier. I'm more like that when it comes to art. It was pretty convincing, to be honest, or at least more legit than normal. Right, she's talking about the scam. But yeah, so there you go. That's the story of how I almost got scammed out of close to $2,000. But I didn't, because I am a suspicious, untrustworthy...
You're suspicious. No one trusts you.
Well, I'm about to say, I kind of said it backwards, but you get the idea.
I think you meant skeptical, but yeah.
Skeptical, thank you. No, I'm suspicious.
Suspicious and skeptical are very close words and very easy to confuse words.
They're close words that mean literally the opposite of each other, I guess.
Well, like the inverse.
Inverse, there you go. That's probably right.
It's weird to describe them, but yes, they are related, and it's very confusing.
But yeah, so just thinking about stuff like that in terms of like handwritten versus digi-written, of like, I wonder if like, I don't know, like if you go to like, I mean, you can't do this, right? Because it doesn't really exist, but like, I'm trying to think, because like most rural areas would still have like the southern accents and stuff like that, like they have their particular way of speaking. But like, I don't know, I almost want to like a city, like I would like to go to a city, like a cityscape that does not have technology yet, and see how they talk. You know what I mean? Like not even like a rural village or something like that. Something that is modern but not so modern that like the language would have changed just quite yet. All right. Saba says, when it comes to our handwriting, however, I don't think we would be able to recognize ourselves in it. Almost like we need others to tell us what our writing sounds like us. That's probably true. I'm trying to think, because I do have a very particular way of speaking. It's a lot of commas and run-on sentences, because that's how I talk. Also, apparently that's like a side effect of ADHD, but I don't know. I could probably recognize my own. Like if you put a passage that I wrote next to Saba and Grant, like passages that they wrote, I could probably pick out mine, because mine would be twice as long. Adrian is doing his own thing.
I'm just thinking about how I hate to bring it up, but have you heard about Homestuck?
In what context?
In the context of there's a shitload of characters in that series, and most of
real
them.
Quick, before we continue,
Yes.
and I would like you to like put a pin in that, just because what the fuck is Homestuck? Because my understanding as to what it is was that it was one person's like comic thing that they were doing at first, and then it became like a crowdsourced writing art like megaverse thing. Is that true? Is that correct?
Close. One person made a webcomic, and then eventually he learned HTML coding, animation, and music, and made a bunch of stuff relating to that webcomic in the canon of the comic and story. And then eventually other people joined on as fans, were like, hey, can we animate along with you and make it like canon of the story? And they're like, sure. And so he gave them animations to do. And now it's, like you said, then the rest is more modern, but at the core, it's still a webcomic.
Okay. Understood.
But
yeah.
as I was saying.
I'm about to say, feel free to continue now. Now that I
Right.
know what Homestuck is.
But when I say webcomic, I mean it kind of loosely in that most of Homestuck, right, is like one panel of like a little stumpy gnome dude doing a thing, and then the rest is dialogue of them talking while explaining what they're doing in the thing. And
Okay.
what I wanted to bring up was that like half the characters in the series have what are called typing quirks, where they all type a specific way to both like showcase personality and delay.
Typing as in
each
like the
other.
type font will change, or that it's typed out in a specific way?
Well, not fonts, but well, A, color, but all different
Okay.
text colors. But B,
Sure.
they also all type in different ways. Like one character types much like how I do nowadays, which is all lowercase with otherwise perfect grammar, but all lower cases. Another character has perfect grammar and types a lot of like long, like overlong sentences and stuff like that, and like eloquent wording. One person has a weird quirk where like they separate compound words for some reason. And then there are more
what way?
like
Like instead of soda pop, it's soda space pop. Is that what you
I
mean?
didn't know that was a compound word, but sure. I was gonna say
soda pop,
like
isn't it?
I've never heard anyone use that as a compound word, but besides Pokemon, I guess, which I guess is where you'd get that from, besides New Hampshire or whatever.
All right, apparently it is not a compound word. That is a bad example. Anyway, please
But
continue.
I was gonna say instead of wherever or whenever, he'd say where space ever, or like who space ever, or like what space ever.
Saba gives the example of bathtub.
Right, bath space tub is another example that they actually use, I believe. And then there's other more esoteric ones because those characters are like aliens and they are vaguely more esoteric in typing. One character always types in all caps. Another character like always starts with like a weird emoticon at the beginning of every sentence. And other characters will always capitalize certain letters or whatever. And it's just like I just thought about typing quirks because that was relevant to what you were talking about earlier with like how different people type. Although that's a more extreme example because it's comic.
So actually, I wonder, not that, I guess I'm kind of involuntarily making a Homestuck OC here for a second, but like Grant and Saba can attest to this because I type to them a lot via Discord, but I oftentimes will put the notes emote at the end of it. So I guess that would be kind of like my typing quirk, would be like run-on sentences, and then sentences typically end with a little musical note thing. I guess that kind of counts. I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That sounds amusing, but I wonder if it would be torture to read. Lol. Not the same at all, but there are certain comics that I read occasionally online where the author tries to convey accents with type fonts, which sometimes can be interesting. Like if the character is supposed to have like a more rugged, less formal like tone of phrase, it'll be
They
like
speak in Comic Sans.
well actually they do have a character who speaks in Comic Sans, and he's straight up just like a comedian, so it's lol funny
He's Sans.
because he's Sans. But the one of the characters, and this is kind of in response to Saba, one of the characters is supposed to have a super thick Scottish accent, and so it's like the most tight calligraphy nonsense that is almost impossible to read. And I guess the joke is supposed to be that she's like nigh impossible to understand. But that doesn't help because now I just don't know because like other people are responding to her like she's fucking R2D2, where like they can understand but I can't, and I'm like, but I can see the words. I don't know. I guess sometimes it can go a little bit too far, but it's kind of funny.
I was gonna say on the topic of Saba saying that some of them are readable, some of them are kind of cute. Where like there's one character obsessed with the number 8. So like when they say words that end with ATE, they replace with 8. Or whenever they use a colon, they put like 4 of them to make 8 dots. But then there are others that are more annoying, where there's one character who switches between upper and lowercase every other letter.
Oh, you mean like the SpongeBob meme?
Right, but then later on he goes through character development where he changes and then he just switches from all uppercase in a sentence to all lowercase every other sentence.
That's the character development.
Well, it's a big change, but that's one part of what changes about him.
All right, pretty okay, I guess. I like that.
He goes from a stoner to a psychopathic murder clown.
Yeah, that's progress.
It's development. I didn't say it was positive. I just said it was
You
development.
said it was development. All right, fair. Sometimes in books, letters read by a character are in italics or just a font that sucks to read, and I tend to hate that. Yeah, my favorite book of all time, The Hobbit, in the original draft, or like the original edition, I guess, that came out, it's fucking ridiculous because all of the songs are written in Tolkien's handwriting. And like it's specifically supposed to be in his handwriting, like that's how you're supposed to read it. So for the first and second editions, they kept it like that, and it's fucking impossible to read because once again, it's like super tight calligraphy, except the first letter takes up fucking 1/3 of the page. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, I get it, but come on, we've moved past this as a society.
As a society, we have moved past the need for Tolkien.
Not Tolkien, just the the calligraphy, I guess. Like
Just the person and his legacy.
My nephew is still going, obviously he's like 11, but he's in middle school right now, and he is going through calligraphy lessons, or not calligraphy lessons, just cursive lessons, and it's one of the 2 subjects that he enjoys. And you know, I was like, oh, that's like cool or whatever. And he's like, do you know how to write cursive? And I was like, kinda, but I never really used it. And he like stopped, and you've heard this story before essentially, but like he stopped dead in his tracks and he's like, what do you mean you don't use it? And I was like, yeah, everything's on computers now. You just need to know how to type or how to use a phone. You barely even need to know how to write your own name anymore. And he was like, are you kidding me? The teachers kept saying that it was like the most important skill I would ever learn. And I was like, sorry, boyo.
I mean, you need to know how to write your signature, but even though it doesn't even need to be cursive, it just usually is.
It just usually is. Like, my signature just has the cursive Z, cursive F, and then a bunch of scribbles in between. You know?
Mine is just me. Mine is just me trying to remember how to write my name in cursive as fast as possible.
Very fair. Uzi, I will take a buffing capsule. Why not?
Damn. I will say,
yeah.
I am tutoring a kid right now, and
when you say right now, you mean like in general?
In general,
okay.
I'm supposed to be tutoring him.
Yeah.
But he is, and this may not be the best example because he's a foster kid, and foster kids are generally behind, and he is no exception. He generally is like very, very behind. I don't know if I mentioned this. He can't tell even numbers from odd numbers, and he's in 6th grade.
I mean that's obviously like pretty late. But yeah.
But in any case, he is really bad at writing, and thankfully we have a fucking iPad and computer to like autocorrect. But also, even still, he just doesn't know how to order words properly in text, it seems. So there is some merit to learning how to write just in general, or at least structure English sentences.
I'm about to say, like, that's something else, I guess, you know, because like when I say you don't even really need to learn how to write anymore, I guess I mean that you don't really need to learn how to write 6-page essays, right? You know what I mean? Because that was like a thing that like my brother and sister had to learn in school. And I mean, obviously we still had to do that, but it's a lot more like the structure of how to like actually write essays and how to structure sentences and stuff like that. That's obviously invaluable and should be taught and should be learned by everybody. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like we could all pretty much be in agreement when I say that cursive has no real need anymore. Am I wrong? Beyond it looking kind of cool, it's not really necessary anymore.
I would agree. There's probably better stuff you could spend your time learning.
Yeah, I don't know.
What could you learn with the time spent from cursive? From learning cursive? What could you learn that amount of time it would take you to learn cursive?
You mean me right now, or me as like a kid?
Like you as a kid, if that.
So
happened.
like if me of the present were to go back to myself as a kid, and I could be like, all right, instead of cursive, this child is going to learn this, what would it be?
How much JoJo could you watch in that time?
No, I wouldn't replace it with something that stupid. I would probably replace it with... Saba, you're allowed to like cursive, but it's like... Calligraphy is like super cursive, right? Like calligraphy is cursive that is pretty. I almost feel like cursive is the same thing, where it's not practical anymore. It's more of an art form, right? Because like it's just a nice way of writing, not necessary but nice. Correct. Once again, I understand, I agree, not necessary. Like the whole point of cursive was they invented that writing system so that way people could write out sentences quicker, because you didn't have to like raise your writing instrument between letters. We don't have to fucking do that anymore. In fact, they kind of reinvented cursive for smartphones. You remember that, Adrian, when the Samsung phones had the thing where if you held your finger down, you would draw a line?
Yeah.
That's basically just cursive again. It's the same principle. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so you asked what would I replace? What would I replace cursive with? I don't know. Maybe I'm pandering to Saba a little bit here, but I would actually have liked to spend more of that time learning actual world history instead of just the humdrum world history that has been like homogenized over time. Like things about parts of the world that are actually relevant as opposed to just fantastic. Sorry, fantastical. Forgot the last syllable. But yeah, that's what I'd do. What would you do? I mean, did you learn cursive?
I did learn cursive. The thing is, I'm trying to think of something that I could feasibly learn when I'm that old at that amount of time.
That old?
Because I learned it when I was like in kindergarten, I want to say.
Really? Okay. I'm about to say, I remember learning that when I was like in elementary school and stuff.
It was pretty early on. I remember learning it alongside learning normal writing, which was hard. Or at least shortly after.
Get rid of this fucking
what did I
rabbit.
Teach myself then. Probably typing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the gift of hindsight, right? But like, no, but like, I don't know. Like
because I had computers back then.
Well, I mean, they had computers, but like, it's interesting. And I know I'm like 3 years older than you or whatever, but like, when I was in middle school, high school, we had just started getting a typing class, and the teacher was constantly telling us that like computers were a fad, and that they would pass us by. So anyway, my nephew doesn't have typing classes because the school curriculum actually determined that it was irrelevant because most kids just had smartphones at the school. So it's like, yeah, they already get enough practice, and it's like, oh, that's like kind of interesting, but also kind of dystopian. All right, Saba says, I like writing in it occasionally. Also, sometimes regular handwriting is so bad and illegible that cursive actually saved them by being readable.
I don't.
I think that's more of a them problem, not a societal problem.
I was gonna say, I don't know if cursive is a very good general remedy to bad handwriting.
Yeah, usually it's practice or like fixing hand spasms. I'll just take a fucking random strawberry. No, I won't. I have so many rerolls. Why would I do that?
I will say, by the way, speaking of writing, I don't know about cursive, but like the kid that I'm tutoring uses like a mechanical pencil, right?
Right.
But every time I give him the pencil to write, he fucking snaps the lead in 2 seconds. And I'm like,
Too much pressure.
I had the exact same problem. That's why I never used a fucking mechanical pencil.
Yeah, because it's like I don't know. Like I've obviously made my case multiple times about how much I enjoy just using like a regular pen, you know? And it's just like, yeah, I agree. It's kind of like the same thing with toothbrushes. Like, have you ever, well, not have you ever, but do you still, when you brush your teeth, does the brush tip fray over time, like flatten out and fray?
I don't think so.
So that's a problem that I have because I push very hard on my teeth when I brush. So over time, yes, it does like flatten out and fray, and I have to like physically replace my toothbrush head. And I don't know, I guess that's just one of the things that I like doing as an individual is I like I like pressing down on things when I'm working on them and stuff. It's one of the reasons why I type so loud and whatnot. Ooh, Midas Bomb or Wild Card. Is there anything here that's like super important? Not really. In fact, I would kind of enjoy it if I just killed most of these things right now. Take a Wild Card to be safe though. All right, what is that to say?
Have you ever used a water flosser?
A water flosser?
Yeah, like a water floss machine.
Like the thing that they have at the dentist?
I don't know if they probably have it there, but like I know they sell them for like home use. I don't know if you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking of.
It's like a I don't know, I guess like a tube with like a little nozzle at the end, and you hook it up to water and it just goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's kind of clear, but like, no, I do not use one because I always thought that was just something that dentists had.
You can totally buy one for home use, and they're very, very useful.
Really?
To the point where I legit, like, I have a history of bad dental hygiene. It's genetic. Both my mom and dad do, too. But, like, for a while when I was in high school, I had such bad dental hygiene. I was just like, all right, look, I know you don't like flossing. Flossing's slow, and I don't really like it. So I'm going to recommend that you buy this water flosser. And I was like, okay, I'll use it with brushing. And I did, and it worked so well that usually for like years and years and years, whenever I go to the dentist, we're like, all right, I guess I'm strapping in for like an hour and a half while he cleans my teeth. Like, I went there, he checked me, he was like, no, you're good, you can just go now, and that was the shortest dentist visit I've ever had.
That's pog as hell.
I know. Like, he just looked at my teeth like, yeah, it's working, you're brushing and rinsing and using the water, you're good, just leave.
Yeah. I've never had anything like that. That's great.
It's definitely an investment. I think they're like fairly expensive. I want to say like 50, 30 bucks, somewhere around there. Ooh. They're not cheap, but it
does sound nice.
It is so much faster than flossing.
Is it also less painful?
Yes.
Because that's a problem that I and literally every other person still has pretty consistently.
I mean, I guess it also depends on the pressure of the water floss you get. The one that I got was fairly high pressure, but even still, it's just water, so it doesn't really hurt. It just feels tingly. That said, I did not take it with me to college, and I also did not take it to my mom's house, so I've not used it in years. And also, as a side effect, my dental hygiene also bad.
No. You know the problem that I have that has like reared its head again, because this used to not be a problem, but then over the course of 3 years being in California, and then like now because of quarantine and stuff. I say because of quarantine, but it was already starting a while ago. But my teeth are yellowing, which is really frustrating because I brush my teeth twice a day. And so I brought that up last time I went to the dentist. I was like, yeah, you have any like recommendations that I can do? And the lady was just like, yeah, you're probably just gonna have to find like some really aggressive whitening toothpaste or something. And I was like, I already use whitening toothpaste. And she's like, no, you don't understand. You have to get like, you're probably gonna need to get like special toothpaste that like burns the thin layer of like plaque and whatever off the top of your teeth. And I was like mouthwash? And she was like, yeah, kind of like mouthwash, but it's more like acid. And I was like, this sounds like a nightmare. I don't want to do this. And she was like, okay, well then just be okay with slightly yellow teeth. And I was like, can I have neither of these, please? Can I just have like good teeth? Because not that.
Listen, Zach, you can't avoid every binary decision that people propose you with.
What if I want to though? But yeah, I don't know. All right. I'm so frustrated because I'm definitely gonna lose this run. Shame. All right. Man, I didn't realize. Of all the topics we talked about, I can't believe that the handwriting versus digi handwriting is the one that like got us actually to talk to each other, as opposed to me yammering and you being like, I
will say, I am not sponsored by water flossing corporations, but I'd like to be.
But I would like to be. We don't even. I don't even have my metrics up right now. But I like Saba's not even here anymore. We might be literally streaming to 0 people. Luck be a landlord to 0 people. It's my dream. All right, I could probably leave this. I could probably leave that topic open actually for like future conversations, just because I don't know. That was a good conversation. I enjoyed it.
Just think about how much I miss my water flossing machine now.
Oh.
It was really good, and it was like my dental hygiene was better than it's ever been, and then it deteriorated when I went to college, and I was like, ugh. My breath stinks, and I suck now.
My breath stinky.
My breath stinks. My math has gotten worse. My limbs have softened.
My limbs have softened.
My bones have become jello. All because I don't use a water flossing machine anymore.
How would that affect your bones?
Because I put calcium powder into the water.
Into the water,
machine.
and it gets into your bloodstream through your gums. Yes.
Yeah. It in case it wasn't intuitive, you have a little. It's basically like a electric toothbrush, except the bottom is like way bigger and has a basin of water.
Oh, so you like fill it?
Yes, you fill it, and then
Do
you keep it plugged in when you're not using it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You don't drink it because it's full of like gross plaque teeth stuff.
Well, I mean, the plaque teeth stuff was already in my mouth.
I guess. I don't. You probably shouldn't put it into your stomach.
Excuse you, I swallow my toothpaste. I take like a
Listen.
swig. I take like a swig of mouthwash, like, you know, swish it around a little bit, and I go, it was already in my mouth, and I swallow it.
Listen, only quitters spit. All right, that includes oral hygiene.
That includes oral hygiene. All right, this is really bad. Thank goodness no one watches us. We would be bad. We would be bad influences on the children's. So, which by the way, I guess Lawrence is going to be more than an hour late, which is disappointing, but that's fine, I guess. What was I just about to say? Oh yeah. So Grant sent me the tweet that Aaron Hansen made yesterday of oh, I gotta keep reminding myself to run away from Lady Dimitrescu. And it's like, funny, because she's hot. Get it?
Yes.
Have you, because you said that you watched some streams, right?
Well, I watch videos mainly.
More or less. So, okay, because I basically did the same thing last night. I just watched like a bunch of cutscenes and stuff on YouTube, just compilations and whatnot. And there was a compilation which was just like all the Lady Dimitrescu stuff, and the thumbnail that they used was like flirty. It was like flirty, angry, wrathful, or whatever. It was
I
like
saw that thumbnail. I didn't watch the video for it though.
Yeah. So, I said as much to Grant, because Grant like sent me that thing, and I was like, yeah, actually, I watched a bunch of stuff about RE8, and so we just talked about RE8 for a little bit, but then it was like, yeah, like what? Give me a second to grab the exact quote that I gave Grant. Definitely figure out how to. No. While she's a tall, thick vampire MILF with heaving mommy milkers, her general attitude and personality actually make me renounce her, which is weird given the types of characters that I've defended in the past.
Really?
Yeah, so the basic over-under is that because like, you know, I've said it before, but like with most characters or people in general, as long as everybody's having fun, I'm down, you know what I mean? But in like Lady Dimitrescu's case, it's not even like she's sadistic or cruel. She's like sadistic or cruel to the level of like fucking Adolf Hitler style of just like reveling in people's misery. Like there's a part in the game where you can see her like off in the distance a little bit, and she lifts up a prisoner by the neck, and she uses her like long ass blade fingers and fucking eviscerates him from crotch to neck, and just laughs as his entrails fall to ribbons on the floor. And I'm like,
Right.
that's just evil. Like, you're just a monster. You're not even a person at that point, you know? It's like, holy shit, that's ridiculous. And
She is a Resident Evil villain.
no, right, but it's just weird, or not weird, because I know exactly why they did it, but it's like, in all of the advertising stuff, she was like, it almost seemed like she was flirting with Ethan. And so, like, I thought it was going to be a case like that, where she was going to be, like, the stereotypical, like, lovey-dovey, like, flirtatious, you know, whatever, neighbor next door thing. But then as soon as you defy her, she gets upset. Nah, it's more along the lines of, no, she's just pissed all the time and will kill you for no reason.
I was gonna say, I definitely did not read her being flirty in the advertising personally. I thought that was just something people projected onto her.
You know, you might actually be correct, because I mostly got I thought she was being a little flirty. Maybe that's just because she was showing so much cleavage. But yeah, I don't know, maybe you're right.
I will say,
I mean, they did immediately hop onto the bandwagon, by they I mean Capcom, with advertising Lady Dimitrescu everywhere as soon as they revealed her, because they knew that people were going to be into it.
Right. I was gonna say, there was one character a while ago that my friend was like, yo, dude, it's a big muscular lady, she's totally your type, and I remember at the time I was like, nah, not really, this one, I'm not feeling this one. But I don't remember what it was or why it was.
Was it the character specifically or the design that you weren't into?
It was something about the character, I think.
I mean, if you could give any more specifics, we could actually talk about it, because I'm probably...
This is why I'm trying to look up details for it.
Oh, okay. So while you're looking up details, I guess I had a few more things to share about Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
Like, so this was me, I shared this with Grant because I was just trying to reaffirm essentially the notion of, like, yeah, they clearly knew what they were doing when they were designing this character. They were literally taking the concept of, like, sex cells and cranking it up to 11, you know, so in the narrative, I don't know if you actually caught this, but in the narrative, the idea is that Mother Miranda, like, she found these people and gave them their powers, yada yada, whatever. Blah blah blah. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the thing. But each one of them has, like, weird monster properties or whatever. Obviously, it's Resident Evil. But so Lady Dimitrescu is obviously, like, a vampire lady, right? But in the game, they kind of give her this weird, like, reptilian dragon twist as well, which is kind of interesting, like crystal dragon type stuff. And one of the ways that they reference this is, like, you know how lizards and, like, crocodiles and stuff like that grow for their entire lives until they no longer have food to feed themselves?
Yeah.
So there is a portrait hidden somewhere in the manor where you can find a picture of Lady Dimitrescu from 80 years ago when she first came to the village, and she's about 5'7". But in game, she's like 8'9", because the idea is, like, that's how many people that she ate, and she just kept growing like a lizard. She's
9'6", because the number keeps being thrown around at me every single place I look. It's specifically 9'6".
9'6". There you go. My bad. But anywho,
it's the inverse of 69.
Wait, is it 9'6" with or without heels?
I just know that people keep saying 2 meter or something. I think it's 2 meters and then 9'6".
All right, 9'6" then. But and then they reaffirm this idea of her, like, eating people to grow larger, because over the course of her chapter, when you're fucking up all of her daughters and ruining her life, she starts stress eating prisoners. And by the final battle where you kill her, she is a full 2 inches taller than she was at the start of the game. And
she also does a bunch of other stuff with the final battle where she goes more than 2 inches taller.
I mean, correct, but I didn't necessarily want to spoil it, just in case people were... Well, once again, no one listens. But yeah, she turns into a dragon.
Just in case the ghosts of the stream were watching.
The ghosts of the stream. But yeah, she turns into a dragon, so yes. But, which, once again, obviously ties into the idea of her being, like, a reptilian dragon thing. But yeah, I don't know. This is just me, like, that was just me, like, to Grant being like, they knew what they were doing with this character. Because the only thing that size fetishists love more is when tall women get taller. Grant. Calling you out live on stream. Yeah. Were you able to find the muscular whatever?
No, and I'm sad about it because I really remember it being a real oddity.
I mean, like, was it in a video game? Was it anything?
I don't remember. All I know is that I was like,
Fantastic.
I should like you, but I don't.
All right, great. Ooh, the bowling ball is just straight up better than that other thing, isn't it? All right.
I'm gonna guess it was from a video game. I want to say it was Brigitte from Overwatch.
She's not that muscular. She's like swole.
Exactly.
She's like swole.
Well, like
she has that costume, or the costume. God damn it! She has a skin where she's wearing like her workout shirt, and it says I work out so I can eat like hell or whatever. And I'm just like,
right.
That's really funny. I never thought of it that way.
I guess just like in game, she doesn't look buff at all.
Well, I mean, she's just wearing the big armor.
Right, but there's skins where she has her sleeves out, and it's very underwhelming.
I don't know. Well, yeah, well, I mean, I get what you mean, because like she's not super ripped or whatever. But I don't know, she has like season 1 Korra levels of beef.
Oh, I think it was Korra, and I think the reason was because I didn't watch Korra.
No, there is no way that you were like, okay, so you thought it was Brigitte, but then I bring up Korra and you're like, it's actually Korra though. Is that what you're telling me?
I don't like either of them, to be fair.
Huh?
I don't like either of them, to be fair. I mean, I don't hate them, I don't like either of them particularly well.
I mean, that's fine. I don't know. It was just one of those things where it was just like I was rewatching all of Avatar. God damn it! I'm not gonna win a single run tonight, am I? I was rewatching like all of Avatar, and when I got to Legend of Korra, I forgot that they just straight up made Korra beef. And it was interesting because it's just like she like compared to most other characters in the show, she was just a strong, physically strong woman, and it was like, oh, that's like really interesting. And then not only do they do that, they play on your expectations, because in between season 2 and 3, she has like an existential crisis where she's basically crippled for like 7 months straight or whatever, and so because of that, all of her muscles atrophy and she just loses a lot of her gains, and it's like, oh, that's really interesting.
I'm just looking at pictures of Korra, and I'm like, this isn't like maybe it's just because I'm so inundated with constant like Twitter feed of people drawing big buff people, but like she doesn't look that muscular. She looks like she has the body of like an average like high school.
I'm assuming you're just on Google.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna defend Korra. Like there's this, right? Like I'm posting it on there. There's this where it's like, yes, you're right. She's not ripped. But that is a lot more definition than most other characters get in terms of just being swole.
I guess that's fair.
I'm trying to think. If I can find a picture of it, there was a particular fight scene when she's in an earth-bending city, Metal City. I don't know how to say it otherwise. Nah, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Damn it. Anyway. But yeah, anyway. So I guess I don't know. Perhaps you just lost the context because you're so inundated with stuff. But yeah. Korra, like in terms of like Nickelodeon main characters, she's pretty buff.
Right, and that's the sad thing, is that I wish it could be bigger though.
I mean, sure. I guess
like
that's fair.
I could definitely see, like, with the context of like average Nickelodeon character, like other average anime characters, she definitely looks bigger, but that's not saying much is the problem.
Well, because I mean, I guess the idea is that she doesn't look like a bodybuilder. She looks like a person who is physically active. Like that's like, and I mean, obviously, I guess you would have more context than me, but it's just like, I don't know, like your average person, if they're just physically active as opposed to being a bodybuilder, that's what they're gonna look like, you know? I mean, obviously it depends, but body type to body type. Like,
Yeah.
my mom was like sharing pictures with my aunt and uncle when they were over. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago, and she found pictures of my dad back when he was still in the Air Force. He wasn't in the Air Force. He worked on like nuclear missiles and stuff like that, but he still had to go through basic training just like everybody else, and that was definitively the most physically fit that he was his entire life, and he still looked like a fucking 300-pound linebacker. And it's just like that was the most beef, most swole my dad has ever been in his life, and he still had like just thick torso, and it's just like, I guess that's just our body type.
Yeah, I guess it reminds me of like, I used to really like hate anime even more than I do now. Now I have some appreciation for it. But back in like high school and like middle school, I really did not like anime because I was like, man, why are they all fucking skinny? Every single character is skinny.
Oh, I debate. You're not wrong. I would largely attribute that to like lowest common denominator appeal. Right, just because like people have been people have been like trained, I guess, over time to assume that characters that are thinner are like more attractive, I guess. Because it's like, how long did, and I'm like, this is League of Legends, right? So League of Legends is its own thing. But how long did it take League of Legends to finally release a beefy woman in the form of Illaoi?
I don't fucking know. A while.
Well, no, I mean, it was obviously a while, but it's just like, Illaoi was the first time that they released a beefy woman, because every other woman in League of Legends prior to that point was skinny, bimbo-ish figure, kinda. Except for Callista, I guess, or Jinx. There you go.
I will say the other factor is that thin people are easier to animate because they don't have physics of muscle or fat dragging or flopping.
I mean, do most people, do most like publications really care about that sort of thing?
Yes, animation budget is a thing.
I'm not saying animation budget
isn't.
I'm not saying animation budget isn't a thing. I'm just saying that it seems like that would be one of the first things to be let go in terms of like, what can we cut corners on?
Right.
Because not everything can be, you know, like high frame rate Sakuga. Most things are just going to be, which actually, I guess that's two birds with one stone, right? Because if you get rid of the physics, but then you also just make it so the physics would never be there, that does make sense, actually. But yeah.
Exactly. See, that's part of it.
Makes sense.
Like, just design them to be skinny so you don't have to
worry about it.
muscle or fat physics or muscle or definition or like fat sagging or whatever. Because those things react in physics with gravity, whereas just bones don't as much.
Right. Fuck, I'm so bad at this video game.
It's easier to draw a pole moving from one side to the other than a flag moving from one side to the other.
That's really salient, actually. Like, that's a good analogy. All right. All right. Well, moving on. I guess we're on to the next banter topic.
Anyways, Cora is fucking twig, and I could beat her in an arm wrestling contest.
You
probably.
Definitely could not. Not only physically, but also she has bending.
I would go up to her and I'd be like, "Hey, you're not even real." And then she'd be like, "What are you talking about?" And then she'd crush my skull with her thoughts.
With her thoughts. I thought you were gonna say thighs, and I was like a little bit too far.
She'd hold her thumb and forefinger up in front of her eyes and then pinch my head, and then like 2 giant gouts of water would destroy me instantly. Kill me.
Very true.
And then she would go into the Avatar state or something because she murdered an innocent. I don't know.
Does she have the Avatar state in season 1? She might.
I don't fucking care.
Adrian.
I vaguely know about Korra from exposure, and that's about it.
I mean, that's fine. You don't really need to know Korra.
Korra is her last name's Asami.
No, Asami's a different character.
Oh,
Asami is the woman that they end up eventually dating at the season finale.
oh, she's the other lesbian.
Well, I guess Korra would be bisexual because she dates 3 guys prior to her.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Is
And they don't even really date, by the way. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the final the final 3 episodes, I think, of Legend of Korra were aired on the internet as opposed to live TV because Nickelodeon thought that they were scandalous. And the whole reason, like literally the reason why Nickelodeon was that it's too much for TV was because of was because those last 3 episodes are where they start really driving home that Korra likes Asami. And it's like in the final episode, they don't even kiss or anything. They barely even embrace. They just hold hands as they walk into a portal to Adventures Unknown. And apparently that's too much. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm so embarrassed to be a fan of this series.
You know what I had the thought of her the reason I thought it was Asami because I was like, well, she's a waterbender, so clearly her last name's Dasani.
Great. And I mean, that is true.
Right?
She is from the Southern Water Tribe, yeah.
Yeah. I'll also say that like I didn't get into Avatar because I don't like Aang's design. He looks like too much of a dork.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, but he still looks like a dork.
Yeah, it's kind of the point. I'm just gonna if you're gonna say something like that, I'm gonna say something like this.
I mean, if the point of a book is to have a really shitty opening, then it's gonna drive people to read the opening.
But no, that's not what you're saying, though. You're saying that the book has an opening that you don't like. It's not a shitty opening, it's just an opening you don't like. I like Aang's design. I think his design is childish and wonderful and fits in with a lot of his themes. Funny how you can just do that, yeah. And I'm not here like shitting on you. I'm just saying like he's not shitty. You can think that he's shitty.
Yeah, it's the show
Which
just
is fine.
gonna repel that.
You know? I guess
the show is magnetizing, and unfortunately, I am the same pole as it, which pushes me away.
You are the same magnetic field.
Yeah.
Oh.
I wish I could enjoy Avatar, but there's too much stuff about it that's very superficial that I don't like.
And I mean, then that's your own prerogative, you know. It's the same thing with JoJo, where it's just like I really like JoJo, I really like Avatar. Both of these things have really good things to give, I suppose. And if you can't see past that, that's totally fine. You know, as with any entertainment medium, it's not required reading.
That's not true. Everything that I like is required reading, otherwise you'll fail the test, and then you'll lose 4 points in your life score, which is already billions. If you don't consume the media I like, then you are docked 4 points out of your current life score of probably an average of 300 million thousand billion.
I like losing 3 points out of that. That's pretty good.
Yeah, you missed out on a piece of media that Adrian liked. -2 points. Anyways, your final score is 14 trillion.
but what little did you realize that 2 points put you below like a threshold, and now you're gonna die.
It put you below the threshold of like C- rank.
Yeah, like it's a Devil May Cry game.
Yeah. God, what's I guess this is another thing. How do you feel about like fucking? Actually, no. You vaguely reference this, but like, I really appreciate games that like involve number systems, like attack or defense, whatever, that don't suffer number bloat.
In terms of where the numbers get ridiculously huge.
Like incomprehensibly huge, yeah.
Yeah, because like a really good example of one that does that, like, and that's like anyway, it's a Disgaea. I don't know if you're familiar with Disgaea, but in
Isn't
like
that the Final Fantasy one?
Not really. I'm about to say I tried to equate it. It's like a tactical grid-based RPG sort of thing. But anyway, the idea was that in Disgaea, I think it's Disgaea actually. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I'm pretty sure it's Disgaea because Disgaea 6 just came out. Because in Disgaea,
Oh, I think of Dissidia. My bad.
there you go. That's totally reasonable to get confused actually. Since both of these words are not real. What was I saying? Yeah. Anyway, so long story short. In the first game, the highest damage you could deal was 999, right? Because it was like a Final Fantasy RPG knockoff kind of thing, right? And then in Disgaea 2, it was like, oh, the damage is super high, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, long story short, every game moves up like that. Like, you know how I play clicker games every once in a while? And the idea is that when you move from like millions to billions, instead of the number just having that many decimal places, they'll shorten it and just put B at the end. Fucking Disgaea does that, and it goes up to like pentillions of damage. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I agree with you when you say when you say I like games that don't do that. I agree because I think it's ridiculous. The numbers just stop meaning anything after a while.
But like, that's interesting to say that when you admitted previously that you have like an itch for like cookie clicker type games.
Right, because that's like the specific, like I guess like with Disgaea, I would want to go there for the unique item crafting mechanics and the RPG elements, whereas cookie clicker is nothing but number get big, you know?
Cookie clicker is nothing but merging grandmas
Lawrence,
together
you're
until they
fucking
make a
fired.
grandmother.
Get the fuck out of here. You said half an hour to an hour, not an hour and half an hour. not both.
You know what? We've looked at your records and we'd like to offer you your old position back at a raise of negative 14 schmeckles.
Oh, that's an improvement. I'll take it.
You're being promoted to customer.
Oh boy.
Wait. No. Hello, Lawrence. Unfortunately, hello. I don't know if I can beat. I don't know if I can beat the game in the amount of time that I now have. But it's okay. I'll finish this run of Luck Being Landlord, and then we'll shift over to Metal Wolf Chaos.
You know what? I believe in you.
I'm gonna punch you mentally.
No.
No. It's just gone.
I've been
I'm
punched
trying to
mentally.
think. What was that one phrase that was really graphic that was related to punching that I think Dan said in Game of Thrones, where it's like, I'm gonna tongue punch you in the pink eye or something.
So that was Aaron that said it, and he says, "I'm gonna tongue punch you in your brown eye" in reference to the asshole.
Oh, that's the brown eye.
That's so specific.
I don't know. I do find it kind of funny.
That's just rimming. That's not a. It's not.
Well, yeah, but you say it in a funny way. You know,
That's
comedy.
fair.
There's not many ways, but I do sometimes like it when you have comedic euphemisms for things. Like another euphemistic misnomer, I guess, for asshole is also clown pocket. I kind of like that one because it's pretty funny. And then another one.
Pocket.
Yeah, but I was gonna say prison wallet.
Oh yeah.
Prison
Yeah.
wallet. That's good.
Prison pocket is the alliteration, though.
Prison pocket is an alliteration. That is true. Hello, Lawrence. We've burned through so many conversation topics because Adrian was not engaging for a while, and then we started talking about fucking handwriting, and Adrian was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
I explained why I was fucking. I explained why I was like recuperating on stream.
I know.
It's because before stream, Lawrence. This was before stream happened. I forgot we were streaming, so like 3 minutes before stream happened, I fucking like consumed half a Caesar's pizza. And then I was just like, oh man, I feel great, time to nap. And then my alarm went off. I was like, oh fuck, time to stream.
And
So
also,
like,
how do you forget
incapacitated.
that we stream? We've only been doing this literally every weekend. Well,
I
almost
was
literally every
consumed in
weekend.
the pizza. The pizza consumed me.
So you were consuming each other, apparently.
Zach, how do you feel about your co-host being one person who forgets about the stream, another person who's late, and another person who is late but with a good reason?
Zach, how do you feel about your co-host being 1% pizza, 1% person, 99% pizza?
It's only a little extremely frustrating.
It's like the one fucking Powerpuff Girls where it's like consistency, friendship, conversation. Oh no, capital X pizza.
Oh no. That's a wild card in most cases.
Do I have the fishbowl yet? I do not have a fishbowl yet. Do I have bear? I do not have bear. Skip. Alright. Now that Lawrence is here, hello. There was a topic
Lawrence,
that we
quick
can...
question. What's a spurious correlation?
Oh, let me get to that. First off, let me just show this, because I thought this was funny.
Please
Call
don't
it a day.
opportunity to spoil your first date.
Too late, man, too late.
Shapeshifters.
It's too late.
Alright, a friend of mine found a website about odd correlations, and I wanted to share some of those with you. Let me just find it.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going. I'm gonna like this. This is gonna be a good time.
So, can I share the graph? Let me see. You know what? I'll just snip it so y'all can see.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, okay.
Odd correlations. So, U.S. spending on science, space, and technology correlates with suicides by hanging, strangulation, suffocation.
Wow.
And once again, we should reiterate, but I mean, I'm not showing these on stream because I don't have that enabled right now. But correlation does not equal causation.
Excuse me, but the graph doesn't lie, Zach.
Right, but
It's just
correlation
like-
does not equate to causation.
It's just like how there's a correlation between fucking U.S. right-wing population and confirmed furry population.
Yeah, dude, graph doesn't lie.
What did I join? What did I walk
spurious
into?
correlations that I found.
Alright.
So, as you can see on the first one on air, our country's spending on science, space, and technology correlates with the number of suicides by hanging, strangulation, suffocation.
Oh my god.
Look
Also,
how
this is
accurate
a Metal
the
Wolf
graphs-
Chaos.
Well, fucking Lawrence was an hour and a half late for stream, so I've
I
been playing
did
this while
warn ya.
Adrian and I were chit-chatting, just like doing banter topics.
Oh my
So
god.
here's a meme that illustrates what Lawrence is talking about pretty well. Our site's users, subscribers to Martha Stewart Living, and consumers of furry pornography.
Those implications are clear. That's super good. I also have this one. This might interest Zach or might give him a new fear. Per capita cheese consumption correlates with the number of people who died
tangled in their bed
bed
sheets.
Oh my god.
That's really good. It's really funny.
It's super good.
You're fired. No.
Oh, have you seen that one fucking that one really badly drawn graph where it's like average female height per country, but they illustrate it really badly.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Where they condense the fucking height from 0 to 5 feet, but then forget to illustrate that with the actual graphics.
So they're just tiny. I do remember
Yeah,
this.
but it's 5 foot versus 5'5".
As an individual, I can confirm that too much of my time is spent hiding beneath the rock praying. The terrifying gang of international giant ladies and their Latvian general don't find me.
That's so stupid. God damn it.
The image of just like this one Indian woman just like under rocks like fucking bugs just I
Yeah.
sure hope those Latvians don't find me.
Like how
Like
would you
Holden,
how
bug-eyed
would you
and
even
sweating.
portray this properly? Because like if you wanted them to be properly sized ratios, that way she doesn't look like a tiny baby child, you would have to make that space like the space between the 0 and the 5 foot equivalent. So that way everybody was
Yeah.
about
Or
the
just
same
make it a
height.
bar graph.
Exactly, just make it a bar graph. I know you were trying to do, and I'm here to tell you, you failed.
Bishop failed, we'll get him next time.
We'll get him next.
We'll get him next time.
That reminds me, I recently did a to scale lineup of all my OCs. And
Are any of
Is
them
it-
massive?
Do they have a Latvian general?
kind of
Ooh.
hang on, I'll send you the silhouetted version of them.
All right.
Nice.
Ooh, they're getting bigger.
Oh my god.
Oh, I remember the one with the anchor.
Yo, do they have an anchor?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
one, 3
Is this a
or
pirate?
4 from the right? Or,
Yeah.
Isn't it like also half
That-
shark or something?
Yeah, she's half shark.
I was about to say he talked about this on stream.
I did a while ago, yes.
See,
wait,
I remember.
is this the
I
shark
remember.
that was like raised by pirates?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The Little Mermaid
how do
was
I-
pirates instead of prince.
How do I
Yeah.
how do I remember that? But then I don't remember that I talked to Grant about Halo a day after we talked.
Yeah.
Because one of them involved big ladies.
Yes.
Excuse me.
And there
but
we
that
go.
I'm
lady
gonna
was
I'm
also
gonna remember
half
the
pirate, half
conversation. I'm gonna remember the conversation that Grant and I had today about Lady Dimitrescu forever.
So true. That was very true.
Anyways.
I have another correlation. This one
Okay.
it gives me fear. By winning a natural spelling bee, I might get killed by a venomous spider.
What is in winning word? National spelling. Bee. Oh no.
which gives me a flashback to the time where I almost won a spelling bee, but I'm real glad I lost.
So you're all
Why?
well. So that just means that you're almost going to get killed by a venomous spider.
I'm almost.
Why are you glad you lost though? I'm
Oh
wondering
no,
about
I'm just
that.
making a joke with the correlation
Oh,
because
I thought you were being
Corey-
serious.
He's glad he's glad he lost because otherwise he'd be labeled as a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
What kind of
You've
fucking
offended-
what kind of
you've
fucking
offended me
dweebus
and my
spends
people,
what
but
kind
yes.
of fucking dweebus spends all their time learning how to spell shit? Am I right, guys? We're all on the same page here. None of us are
Totally.
consummate spellers.
Here's an addition to the height graph from earlier. Average 6
Of an
foot
NBA
person,
player.
an average NBA player.
oh my god.
They don't let women in the
great.
NBA. No,
Oh my god.
Oh my.
they don't. All right, I'm gonna bring this spirit in because fuck it. Good
Every
times.
time someone asks about what Attack on Titan is about, I'm gonna show them this picture.
It's basically true.
Listen, kings, if you ever feel short, just know that you're probably about as tall, if not taller, than the Latvian war general the women have. Statistically speaking.
True.
Oh.
Everyone here
Also,
is
where's
taller than
Saba?
5'5", right? Lawrence, you're taller than 5'5".
Yeah, I'm like 5'7".
Yeah, you're like a little bit shorter than me, and I'm 5'8"-ish.
There you go. We just made it.
We made it, lads. We're bigger than the Latvian war woman.
Woo! Woo!
Where's Saba?
She's doing whatever stuff.
Under the
remember?
sea.
Yeah, she's under the sea.
She's under the sea. Do we have
7
to save her?
leagues.
Nah.
Oh,
okay.
you know what I
I
wanted
was
to
hoping
ask?
that would be the stream.
She's capable. That would be the stream. I just have a GoPro.
Yeah. Yeah, we go into the ocean and we have to save Saba.
I wanted to ask, are any of you familiar with the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner?
The rhyme of
No.
it. That sounds familiar.
It's the origin of what
Red
was
Sky-
once a common phrase in parlance, but apparently now is not.
Red
So-
Sky and Mourn Sailors Be Warned. Yeah? No?
I believe that's in it, yeah.
Yay!
But basically, it's a story that popularized the phrase albatross around the neck, which again I would like to ask Danny, have any heard of that phrase before?
Literally never.
Albatross around the neck. Yeah, it's a bird.
Is
So-
it a bird?
So the story of the mariner is thus. There's the ship, and they are struggling to get home, and they're stuck in
I've
frozen,
seen
icy waters, and they're
Waterworld.
dying. And then an albatross overhead guides the ship back to safety, and there's this one guy on the crew who gets jealous because everyone's admiring and feeding the albatross, and he's hungry, and he's like, "Damn it, I hate this albatross." So he shoots the albatross with a fucking crossbow.
Oh.
And then everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you do this?" And then they get thrown into a storm before they can reach the shore. And then they literally find a. Oh, also, by the way, he's not allowed to eat the albatross. Instead, they hang it around his neck by a noose to make him feel bad.
Oh, like
so-
what they do with dogs when they kill chickens.
Kind of. But they did with an albatross and him. But
Okay.
anyways, they're going to shore, and then they go into a storm, and they get lost again. And then an entire ghost ship shows up. And then some guy in the ghost ship, there's two people there. There's Death and Death in Life. And Death is like, "I'm gonna gamble with all of your lives, and you're all gonna die, except..." And then Death in Life is like, "I want this asshole with the albatross around his neck, and I want to make him live with the regret of having killed his entire crew." And he's like, "Oh no." And then he's on the ship alone, and then he slowly learns to appreciate nature and life and stuff, and then eventually makes his way back to shore, and then shows up at some guy's wedding, and the guy is like, I'm so happy to be wed," and the guy's like, "Let me tell you the tale of back when I killed my entire crew," and the guy is about to be wedding is like, "What the fuck?" And then he's like,
Who are
"And
you?"
that's why you should appreciate nature and the fine in his life." Like, "Guy, I'm about to get wed. What? Leave." And that's the
Leap
story,
away.
basically. But it popularized the phrase albatross around the neck to symbolize like someone's wrongdoing and misfortune in general. Like albatross is considered very unlucky, and to have what is to be considered to attach to one of your failures that sticks with you,
Oh.
and is a bad omen. But apparently, it's not a very common saying or story nowadays, and people don't really know it nowadays as much. When back in the day, it was way more popular.
Well, it's neat.
Interesting.
Oh.
I wonder why it. Yeah, I wonder why it died out.
Because albatross around the neck is a very cumbersome phrase.
Very true.
Fair.
Very,
It doesn't
very
exactly
true
roll
and
off the
accurate.
tongue. Much like an albatross hanging around your neck is very cumbersome,
Indeed.
Yes.
Indeed.
considering
Both
albatrosses are
physically
literally the
and
largest
mentally.
flying birds in the world.
I like albatrosses. They're cool.
They are the biggest flying birds in the world.
What about the
There's
condor?
a Sonic character.
I think the albatross beats it in wingspan.
I thought the condor was the largest. I might be wrong. I might be
The albatross
wrong.
can fight the condor then.
I'll fight you.
Yeah.
Death battle.
Death battle. Me
That's
versus
Red
condor.
stream tonight.
Among all flying birds, the Andean condor is third heaviest after the Korab bustard and great bustard, and second only to the wandering albatross in terms of wingspan.
Oh.
So the
The
albatross has bigger
wandering
wingspan, but the condor is probably heavier.
He doesn't
dude,
know where
I can
he's
feed,
going.
I can
Probably
feed
more
this.
fierce if I had to guess.
Did you know that albatross can fly asleep?
Yes, I did know that actually.
I did not know
Pretty
that.
odd.
They have to travel such great lengths that they've adapted to be able to fly while sleeping.
That's pretty cool.
Have they adapted to dodging?
Crossbow
Oh,
bolts? No, they haven't.
Crossbow bolts, yeah.
That's their one
Well-
weakness, actually. It's also my
Oh.
one weakness is crossbow bolts.
Your one weakness.
I learned.
Adrian.
I mean, I put in the time to learn. I put in the time to learn immunity to crossbows. So
My one
You
weakness,
spec into
my,
crossbow immunity.
yeah.
my main weakness is things with very high velocity with either piercing or slashing edges, or even blunt edges moving at me.
that was my nickname.
Car.
That was my nickname in high school.
Blunt edges.
No, the whole thing.
Oh, the
Piercing
entire
objects with piercing or slashing edges, or even blunt ones flying at a high velocity.
Correct.
You're right. That is a lot easier to say than Zach.
It was more accurate.
Right.
Also easier to say than albatross around the neck.
True. It's a shame because I'm about to lose here in a second. And I was doing so well that
Game
entire
over.
time. All right, so while I am
You know
getting...
what? Well, if you're about to lose,
No, I have a topic I wanted to bring up.
Never.
No. Wait, did you have more causality?
I ran out of causalities. Here's a quote of the day, though.
Become the son who makes their mother feel sick to their stomach.
Oh.
Thank you, Bird.
Thank you, Bird.
Happy Mother's Day, y'all.
Happy Mother's Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. So the
Grant, can you relate to this?
What is this? Great. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Great, more
Tumblr
people
experience.
like the thing I like. I don't want to be here.
At least it's not Twitter.
it's like going back
Very,
to the
very
it's like going back to the Shira the Princess of Power Reddit.
Oh yeah.
Is it bad?
Oh, it's real bad.
Oh,
It's
no.
like
Have
it's
you
like
checked
it's
it
like
out
worse
recently?
than I mean it was like 2 weeks ago or whatever, but yeah, it was like the worst I had ever experienced up to that point.
I was about to say, I remember talking to you about it